When the CEO's twins were abandoned by 5 nannies, one amazing woman revealed a hidden love like no other. Angela Wright stood in her cramped San Francisco apartment, staring at the stack of bills that towered like an unsolvable puzzle on her kitchen table. Each envelope represented a different kind of pressure: utilities, rent, groceries. The weight of responsibility bore down on her as she thought about Mike, her teenage son, who deserved more than the frugal existence they scraped by with. Her heart pulsed with frustration and desperation. What she truly wanted was to inspire young minds, yet here she was, pouring her energy into a part-time job at a preschool that felt undervalued by society, and sometimes, even by herself. Was this what life had led her to? A perpetual tightrope walk of sacrifice and struggle? A notification on her phone brought her momentary distraction. Ethan Cross, the CEO of a major tech company, was embroiled in a scandal, splashed across every headline in the city. It took just a moment for random thoughts to collide. Wasn't he the man with 5 nannies for his twin daughters? What were those girls feeling now with their world crumbling around them? Curiosity pricked at her like a thorn in her side, pulling her to the nearby park where she often took Mike for afternoon walks. As she settled on a bench, her mind still plagued by her own issues, the flickering laughter of children brought her back to the present. Suddenly she heard a voice nearby, pleading for help. It was Ethan, a man used to commanding respect and instant compliance, now stripped down to his raw emotions. She watched him cradle one of his daughters as he silently fought to hold back tears. A swell of compassion surged in her chest, urging her feet to move. "Can I help?" she offered, knowing she had never been in a situation like this before. Venturing inside his lavish hillside home later, Angela felt a dizzying mix of trepidation and excitement. She was stepping into a world of opulence that felt foreign and tempting, yet scrutinized by tension. Surrounded by rooms filled with artifacts of wealth, she caught glimpses of the twins, lost in their bubble of privilege yet yearning for connection. As they started to share stories, Angela introduced concepts of resilience, warmth, and kindness, juxtaposing their glittering existence with her frugal creativity. Yet the jagged edges of their interactions gnawed at her, their lives intertwined in a way she never anticipated but felt deeply. She was nurturing their spirits, yet her own financial strains pressed like iron chains, a constant reminder of her precarious lifestyle. Just as a sense of unity began to blossom between them, she unearthed what wealth truly cost in Ethan's world, realizing his perfect image came with a hefty emotional price. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The tension escalated in Angela's heart as she caught Ethan awkwardly navigating his twins' emotions, hollow victory swirling around him. With every sweet moment she spent with the girls, she felt the stakes rise, knowing she was wading deeper into uncharted waters. Just when she thought they were connecting, an unexpected discovery slashed through her soaring spirit. A faded photo hidden in the back of Ethan's library, with whispers of a long-standing connection between their families. A rush of uncertainty bubbled within her, drowning out her previous pride and confidence. What did this mean for her? Could she unravel the weighty narratives that defined their lives? Fighting through waves of fear, she stood on the edge of redefining family, hesitating to confront both their intertwined legacies and her potential fate. Would she find the strength to step into this unfamiliar territory? Or would fate deem her history too burdensome to shift toward a future wrapped in possibilities? The silence stretched like a taut rope in the air, leaving her questioning if she could finally untangle the threads, or if they would forever cling to her like shadows of a past she'd rather leave behind. Angela inhaled deeply, her heart racing as she stared at the photograph cradled in her palm. It was a faded image of 2 little girls, identical in their beaming innocence, standing next to her own mother, in an unfamiliar setting, littered with summer warmth and sunlight. Painful memories clawed at her consciousness, a bitterness of childhood refracted through the lens of her current situation. It revealed not just their intertwined pasts, but an aching realization that their families were linked in ways she had previously been unaware. As the weight of this new knowledge crashed over her, Angela's sense of purpose flickered like a flame caught in the wind. She felt torn between stepping boldly into a future that promised redemption and the paralyzing fear of confronting a legacy she never sought. Was she ready to confront the consequences of this revelation? How could she create pathways for Ethan's daughters while grappling with her own story? With a determined flicker igniting her thoughts, Angela resolved to take control. Each exhilarating heartbeat reminded her that neglecting her ambitions robbed both her and Mike of potential futures. She allowed her discomfort to turn into a steely resolve. Perhaps by revealing the truth of their past, she could offer Ethan a chance to rebuild his family and herself a way to unravel her own deep-seated fears. The following morning she stood in front of her reflection, scrutinizing the person gazing back. A touch of lipstick here, a smile there. But beyond the cosmetics, she pondered her own value. What did she truly have to offer? With a newfound clarity, she realized her insights into nurturing and her experiences as a single mother were far from irrelevant. They were weapons in her arsenal. Motivated, Angela reached for her phone, her fingers hesitating momentarily over Ethan's contact. Would he see her as just another attempt to manipulate his tarnished life? Not a chance. She could be the ally that both he and his children needed. This time she wouldn't shy away from the daunting task of creating bridges not just for them, but also for herself. She dialed, steeling herself against potential rejection. "Hi, Ethan," she said, taking a deep breath as she allowed the gravity of her words to seep through. "I found something important, about our families." Ethan's voice cracked through the line, tinged with apprehension, yet laced with palpable curiosity. "What do you mean?" As she recounted the connection, she felt the cautious threads of hope weaving through the tension of the conversation. His response was layered with disbelief and vulnerability, indicating she'd struck a nerve, and that perhaps they were both on the brink of something significant. Though her stomach churned with anxiety, Angela could feel herself rising to the occasion. After their call ended, she found herself full of lighter energy. This was a new chapter, a challenging one, but an avenue to explore further personal growth. She was standing on the precipice of something terrifying and enlightening, confronting fears she buried deep beneath layers of doubt. Within days, she was back at Ethan's home, a piquant mixture of anticipation and apprehension coursing through her veins. The twins buzzed around in joy, yet a cloud loomed above. The unasked questions hung heavy in the air. As Angela engaged with them, offering insights that tied their burdensome feelings to the shared histories, she felt herself transform into more than a mere caregiver. She was a guide, helping them navigate the tumultuous transition of emotions in a world suddenly turned upside down. Ethan's eyes followed her, a mixture of gratitude and intrigue, reflecting back with each shared story. This unexpected partnership was growing, and as they continued uncovering their pasts, they forged a connection that transcended the societal labels that often dictated relationships. But as Angela navigated this newfound alliance, a worrying thought nagged at the back of her mind. Who exactly was she becoming? Was she losing herself in the process of helping them define their paths? The imminent discovery of family secrets loomed large, and the reflection in the mirror began to shake her confidence. Was everything she built together on sturdy ground, or were they all just one harsh truth away from collapse? As she and Ethan delved deeper into the photo's implications, another layer began to peel back. Each shared detail pushed them to the edge, pushing against memories that had the potential to change everything. But something deeper loomed behind her desire. Was she chasing connection, or was she simply dodging the challenges of her own life? Suddenly, a door creaked open, and a haunting figure from Angela's past stepped in. An unexpected visitor, the true test of her evolving self. The moment of reckoning had arrived, spiraling them toward their collective fates. Would she rise, Or would the shadows of her past ultimately drag her down? Angela felt the air thicken with tension as she turned to face the figure that had emerged from the doorway. It was her estranged sister, Claire, a name that echoed with bittersweet memories. The last time they had seen each other was during a tumultuous family event years ago, where words had been exchanged that carried the weight of years of unresolved issues. As Claire stepped inside, Angela's heart raced, igniting a cocktail of emotions. She had long viewed her sister as a rival for their mother's affection, a symbol of familial discord that she had tried to bury deep within her psyche. "Angela," Claire said, her voice a mix of disbelief and caution, "I heard you were in town." That single statement reminded Angela of the distance that had grown between them over the years. But now, with Ethan and his twins depending on her, she felt the stirrings of newfound strength. Her thoughts raced, a flurry of conflicting emotions demanding attention. What did Claire want? Was she here to rekindle old grievances, or had her arrival prompted an opportunity for reconciliation? "Claire, it's unexpected to see you," Angela replied, her voice steadier than she felt. She took a moment to ground herself, recalling the burgeoning sense of purpose that accompanied her new role in the twins' lives. The weight of their shared history was palpable, and Angela felt a surge of vulnerability as she considered how to navigate this encounter. In that split second, she recognized an intrinsic value she had long neglected. She could redefine the narrative, not just for herself but potentially for Claire too. "I know I always seemed like the favored one," Claire stated bluntly, her eyes darting to the thoughtful features of the twins playing in the background. Caught off guard by the honesty in Claire's tone, Angela hesitated but then took a breath, letting her resolve come to the forefront. "We were both shaped by a lot of factors we didn't understand, and it's time to confront that, isn't it?" The tension in the room shifted, as if the air had lightened slightly with the acknowledgement of their shared pain. Claire nodded, a flicker of determination igniting behind her weary eyes. Suddenly, Angela felt a sense of kinship forming amid the uncertainties. Hazily, memories rushed forth, the giggles, the games, the rivalry woven together with the threads of affection that had long been tangled. The twins' laughter echoed down the hall, reminding Angela of the importance of fostering familial bonds. A profound realization dawned upon her. She could either continue the cycle of silence or take this chance to bridge the gulf that separated them. Claire was not just an embodiment of past grievances. She was a reminder that healing begins within. "Let's talk, Claire, about everything," Angela offered, feeling a surge of hope. The weight on her shoulders began to lift as she leaned into her newfound strength, allowing herself to explore the complexities in the moment. It was an essential step toward her own evolution, one that could lead to a resolution not just for herself, but for Claire, and even for Ethan's daughters, who deserved a stable foundation amidst the turmoil. With each exchanged word, Angela began to see threads of potential woven between them. Conversations that might expose hidden truths could strip them of the facades they had built. The prospect of discovery loomed large as it intertwined with her duty to the twins. As they continued to speak, deepening their understanding of one another, the lingering fear of what might unfold began to fade. But as they ventured into this unprecedented territory, a flicker of worry gnawed at the edges of Angela's mind. What truths would emerge through this connection? Could they withstand the seismic shifts, both personally and within their external relationships? Angela realized that forging this path wasn't merely about reconciliation. It was also about becoming the person she had aimed to be, the woman directing her own narrative, rekindling connections wherever they surfaced. Yet beneath this sense of empowerment, the question echoed in her thoughts. Was she ready for the inevitable reckoning of the family's secrets long buried beneath the surface? The moment hung suspended in an air charged with possibilities. Would their conversation lead to a cathartic revelation, or would it echo with the silence of unspoken truths? Angela braced herself for the collision of confrontation and connection, knowing that the pivotal choices ahead could redefine her trajectory, both for herself and those she cared for. What remained unsaid lingered heavily, urging her to confront fears not just of her past, but of her future. As the door closed behind them, A new chapter awaited. Angela watched Claire closely, the minutes stretching as they reconsidered their places in each other's lives. The laughter of the twins faded into the backdrop, underscoring the weight of their conversation. Every word, every glance could either heal or deepen the chasm that had formed between them over the years. "Do you remember the summers we spent at Grandma's? It felt so simple then," Claire said, her voice almost a whisper. Angela felt a flicker of warmth at the shared memory, but the simplicity seemed like a distant memory. "Yes," Angela replied, her voice softer. Until it wasn't. She felt a pull to delve into the depths of their childhood. Each moment had built upon the other, planting seeds of resentment that she had yet to fully face. "I guess I always felt overshadowed even when you weren't trying to be," Claire admitted, avoiding Angela's gaze. Her sister's vulnerability cracked a layer surrounding Angela's heart, but she was aware that they needed to confront more than just those feelings. They needed to dismantle the stories they had told themselves for years. "What if we change the narrative?" Angela proposed, her heart racing at the weight of the suggestion. "Start fresh, acknowledge what's happened, but not be bound by it." It was a daring notion. Uncertainty flickered like a flame between them. Claire looked at her with cautious hope. "I've spent so much time feeling like I had to compete. Maybe I don't have to anymore. But what does that mean for us?" Angela pondered, allowing her ambitions and fears to surface. "It means we redefine what it means to be sisters. No more rivalry, just a chance to build something new." It struck her then just how much she had longed for this moment, an opportunity to mold a relationship from fractured beginnings. "Our past doesn't have to dictate our future," Angela added, her determination growing stronger as she felt her sister's growing resolve. As they exchanged smiles, a warm feeling enveloped her, and she realized they were taking their first tentative steps toward a healthier bond, a process not dissimilar to her growth into the caretaker of Ethan's twins. The idea resonated. Each child had the right to confront their feelings, their inheritances, and learn how to build from them rather than be imprisoned by them. Conversation flowed more freely, layer by layer, as they shared not only memories but also the fears that had held them apart. Angela confided in Claire about her struggles with Ethan's workload and how she found herself at a crossroads as she took on the responsibility of guiding the twins. In turn, Claire opened up about the pressures of her own career, feelings of inadequacy looming large despite achievements that should have brought her joy. "You always seemed so confident in what you were doing," Claire said, a hint of awe in her voice. Angela felt the compliment ripple through her, but the weight of Claire's struggles resonated more. This was the sister she had not recognized, carving her path in the shadow of their past. With an unanticipated fierceness, Angela felt a sense of clarity. It was time to not only rebuild her relationship with Claire, but also to evaluate what true self-assurance meant. As the sun dipped lower outside, casting playful shadows in the room, she questioned what influence she had on those young lives entrusted to her while redefining her own path. Their conversation deepened, and with each exchange, Angela peeled back layers of her self-doubt, transforming her vulnerability into a springboard of empowerment. Yet within this growth, she sensed the looming specter of past grievances. Their history clawed at the edges of their newfound connection. "Angela," Claire began, her hesitance palpable. The words hung in the air like a fragile crystal ready to shatter. Angela held her breath, heart racing, knowing they were on the precipice of revealing truths that could either save them or undo all the delicate stitching they were attempting. What was Claire about to disclose? Would this be another step toward healing, or was the unraveling inevitable? Angela braced herself. The new chapter they were constructing hinged on what lay ahead, the moment when vulnerability collided with truth. It was time to confront the family secrets that had mirrored their fractures, and she wasn't sure she was ready. Angela felt an unsettling knot in her stomach as she awaited Claire's revelation. The weight of unsaid words hung like a thick fog between them, threatening to obscure the progress they had made. She took a breath, attempting to steady herself against the tide of anxiety rising within. "Angela," Claire started again, her voice trembling slightly. "There's something I've wanted to tell you for years, but I didn't know how. She glanced away, gathering her thoughts, her fingers fidgeting with the hem of her shirt. Seeing her sister's struggle evoked a determined instinct within Angela. It was time to grasp this moment, to embrace the openness that they were trembling into. "Whatever it is, Claire, I'm here," she reassured, her own heart racing but her mind resolute. Taking another deep breath, Claire continued, "You weren't the only one feeling lost. I didn't just feel overshadowed by you. I felt abandoned by everyone, including our parents. I always believed they loved you more, that you were their favorite." The room seemed to darken for a moment, the air thickening as Angela absorbed the weight of the confession. It was a painfully familiar echo of her own fears, insecurities that had pulsed beneath the surface of their lives. "Claire, I know you didn't," Claire interrupted, her words pouring forth almost like an unspooling thread. "But it's how I felt. Every time I saw you succeeding, it reinforced this belief for me. I wasn't just competing with you, I was competing for our parents' approval, and it drove a wedge between us." Angela felt her heart clench, a tumult of emotions swirling within her. The awareness that Claire had been struggling all this time, even while Angela fought her own battles, was bewildering. I never thought of it that way. I just wanted to be there for you, but I was too preoccupied with my own expectations to see how you felt." "Exactly," Claire said, her gaze piercing through the darkness. "And it's not just about our parents. I've often wondered what would have happened if I had stepped out from your shadow, if I had just believed in myself without letting our family dynamics dictate my worth." Angela's mind raced. This was not merely a moment of revelation. It was an opportunity for both of them to confront the very definitions of self-worth and identity they had clung to for so long. But confronting these histories meant owning their parts. Angela's need to be perfect and Claire's self-doubt. "I think we both need to explore what we've let define us," she proposed carefully, feeling the contours of her own identity shift. "It doesn't have to be a competition anymore. We can be our own champions." This perspective sparked something in Claire. "Yes, but it has to start now. We can't keep dragging our past into our present or future," Claire stated with newfound determination. Angela nodded, invigorated by her sister's words. "What if we set some goals? Not just for our careers, but for our lives, for us." "There's a lot of stuff that needs sorting," Claire acknowledged, looking at her with a blend of hope and trepidation. "But I think we can—" Before Claire could finish, the door creaked open, revealing Ethan. He stepped inside, confusion painting his features at the emotional intensity charged in the room. "Is everything okay?" Angela knew this was a pivotal moment, the world outside threatening to intrude upon their breakthroughs. They could either slip back into the safety of their former roles or confront the truth head-on, together. Turning back to her sister, Angela felt the tension between fear and expectation as they both faced the future unknowingly intertwined, but irrevocably changed. What if we tell him everything? Maybe he can help us see things from a different angle. The question hung there, laden with possibilities but fraught with uncertainty. Was Angela ready to expose their vulnerabilities not just to each other, but to Ethan, a man already burdened with responsibilities? Could their healing truly begin if they let him in on their journey? The room held its breath, as did she. The path forward shimmered ahead, but it was riddled with potential for both connection and confrontation. She wondered what lay ahead in the depths of this revelation and felt the thrill of the impending decision, an invitation either to further development or to deeper conflict. Angela's mind spun, her heart drumming a rapid tempo against her chest. Ethan's presence, once a reassuring balm, now added to the weight she felt looming over her conversations with Claire. It was not just about her relationship with her sister anymore. It was a reckoning that needed to unfold before Ethan, who stood as a pillar in their lives, albeit uncertain. "Hey, Ethan," Angela said, her voice a tentative whisper against the sudden heaviness. "We were just discussing feelings," Claire interjected, and Angela shot her a glance, surprised by the candidness. Claire's typical reserve had been shattered, and this raw honesty came not just as a relief, but as a challenge. "Yeah, feelings," Angela repeated, looking at Ethan. "We need to have a real conversation, about us, about how we felt like we were in separate worlds all this time." Ethan frowned slightly, taking in their expressions, the flicker of vulnerability and tension that hung like a shroud in the air. "I can tell something's shifted. You both seem intense. Do you want to sit down?" "Let's just talk here," Claire suggested, her determination solidifying the decision. "It feels important to share this openly." As they formed a loose circle in the living room, Angela felt the claws of vulnerability grip her yet again. She had always been the strong one, the one who held everything together. But here, watching Claire take the lead, Angela recognized a nascent power growing in her sister. It was a power she longed to harness herself. "Okay," Angela began, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "What you need to know, Ethan, is that Claire and I have been navigating some deep-seated issues regarding our family. Our rivalry and fear of not being enough have kept us from truly supporting each other. I feared I had to be perfect, and Claire, well, she felt lost in my shadow." Ethan's face softened, understanding dawning in his eyes. It was a gentle confirmation that while they had been navigating choppy waters, he was still capable of being their anchor. "That sounds tough," he acknowledged, his voice measured. "I knew things weren't perfect, I just didn't realize how deep it went." Angela faltered. Her instincts screamed for her to pull away, to retreat to the safety of her armor, but this wasn't just about her anymore. "Claire wants to step into her own, away from the expectations, away from me. I want that for her, but I worry what that means for us." "I want to redefine our connection," Claire said, gazing steadily at Ethan. "It's time we built something that doesn't rely on old dynamics. I want to show you both who I can be, without worrying about how I measure up." The words tumbled into the room, pregnant with possibilities, and Angela felt a deep gratitude mix with a tinge of fear. They were at a precipice, standing before an expansive unknown. "And I want to support that," Angela added, her determination crystallizing. "We can't let these shadows define who we are anymore. We all have our places and roles, but they shouldn't restrict how we grow." Ethan nodded, listening with intensity. "I want to help you both navigate this," he declared, allowing hope to blossom in Angela's chest. "But it requires honesty and effort. It's not going to be easy." "You're right," Claire replied, her face a blend of apprehension and excitement. "But I'm ready." Angela's heart surged as a light of potential illuminated their path. This was a chance to break old chains, both personal and familial. She realized, however, that breaking free would be an ongoing journey fraught with challenges, a blend of pain and discovery. But as she looked at Claire and Ethan, the weight of new beginnings felt both thrilling and daunting. They had been standing in a room laden with unspoken truths for so long, and the walls seemed poised to finally crack open, cascading into enlightenment. Maybe, just maybe, this would propel Angela to confront not only her sister and Ethan, but ultimately herself. What if this journey revealed the hidden dimensions she had kept tucked away for too long? As the thought settled in her mind, Angela felt a resolve, a drive to explore the tableau of identities emerging before her, both her own and those of her sister and Ethan. The air thickened again, this time charged with potential as she prepared for the journey ahead. What would happen next? Angela could feel it, a tornado brewing on the horizon, both terrifying and exhilarating. And it beckoned her forward into the storm. Angela woke the next morning, a quiet determination humming beneath her skin. The weight of last night's revelations hung around her like a comforting shroud. But it wasn't just about how they would reshape family dynamics. She couldn't shake the feeling that she needed to dive deeper, confronting the layers of herself that had long been cloaked in doubt and expectation. As she prepared for work, her mind buzzed with thoughts of Claire's newfound assertiveness. It was strange yet inspiring to witness the shift in someone who had always lived in her shadow. Angela's heart fluttered with envy, but alongside it came a stirring realization. The power Claire had claimed was a mirror reflecting what Angela had been avoiding. The need to assert her own voice, to redefine her path beyond the expectations of others. Work had always been her sanctuary. a realm where she could avoid the complexities of personal entanglements. Once enveloped in the comforting rhythm of daily meetings and timelines, she was now cautiously aware of the emotional undertow that seeped into her professional life. Her interactions with colleagues felt stilted, a series of obligatory exchanges, and it gnawed at her. Had her drive for success inadvertently fed her tendency to suppress her own needs? It was time for change. At the office, a project lay on the table that had potential to either launch or falter, based on the team's execution. Angela stepped into the meeting room, gathering her internal resolve. As her colleagues settled, she felt a rush of adrenaline fueled by necessity. If she wanted to forge ahead in her career without losing herself, she needed to be brave. "Thanks for coming, everyone. Let's talk about how we can innovate this project," she started, her pulse quickening, but then her voice grew steadier. "We need to think outside of our past strategies. What if we challenge our previous approaches? I want to hear everyone's ideas." The sudden shift from traditional protocol sparked interest. Conversations erupted, but Angela kept a firm grip on the reins, navigating her team's thoughts and fears alike. She leaned into her burgeoning skills, guiding each suggestion with an encouraging nod or probing question. The rush of collaboration washed over her, feeding her soul. Days rolled into weeks, and Angela began to weave her way through the clutter of corporate demands, balancing her responsibilities with a newfound emotional awareness. It felt palpable. Her colleagues noticed the shift. They began to offer their thoughts more freely, inspired by her engagement and willingness to listen. No longer was she merely orchestrating their contributions. She was integrating them into a shared vision, but beneath the professional veneer, the tremors of her personal life lingered. The image of Claire's determination echoed in her mind during quiet moments. What if they did not only redefine their sibling connection, but also pushed each other to harness their talents? What if they created a partnership in confidence rather than rivalry? The contemplation solidified her intention for their next family gathering. As the weekend approached, Angela felt a surge of anticipation about the transformation that lay ahead, both in her office and at home. The thought that she could foster a robust duality of personal love and professional development excited her. But then another fear surfaced. What if her efforts were met with resistance? Ethan had promised support, but how would he react when presented with a more assertive and unguarded Angela? As she prepared her notes for the family meeting, a mix of excitement and dread churned within her. Would they accept the new dynamics, or would it lead to conflict? Just before she left the office that Friday, Angela received a message from a mysterious source, redirecting her ambitions in a way she never expected. Curiosity prickled at her heels, urging her to investigate further. She hesitated briefly, knowing this new development could alter the course of everything she had been building. But wasn't it the push she needed? The unfamiliar path ahead was not without risk, but Angela felt invigorated, ready to embrace whatever lay in store. What awaited her upon uncovering this new opportunity? She dared to imagine the uncharted territory of her potential. Angela took a deep breath before scrolling through the message again. The words blared brightly against the backdrop of her freshly aligned ambitions. "We need to talk about the potential leadership role." Her heart raced. Was this the door she had been seeking? The opportunity to step beyond the boundaries of her current role? It felt precarious yet tantalizing. A chance to recalibrate not just her work trajectory, but her entire self-view. The weekend arrived with an electric mix of apprehension and excitement churning within her. Family gatherings had often been a mirage of niceties for her, simmering with unspoken tensions, a highlight reel that excluded the gritty struggles behind smiles. This time she was determined to navigate that space differently. She craved authenticity, not just for her own growth but to reinforce Claire's newfound confidence as well. They could inspire each other, her voice no longer just a whisper overshadowed by the accomplishments of others. But as she anticipated Claire's responses to her growth, another worry crept into the fabric of her thoughts. Ethan. His steady presence often dulled her sharper edges. Would he embrace this more assertive version of Angela, or push back against the changes? His unwavering support felt contingent on her compliance to the person he believed he knew. She had to test that boundary, Her curiosity was beckoning her toward uncharted territories. The family meeting unfolded like an intricate dance, with everyone encircled around their grandmother's dining room. There was laughter, a bit of teasing, and the familiar sense of home-cooked meals flooding the senses. As they sat down, Angela felt the specter of her intentions hovering. She was there for a purpose beyond casual conversation. "Hey everyone," she initiated, her hands gripping the edges of the table. "I've been thinking a lot about us and our individual journeys. Claire, your boldness lately has inspired me to be more honest about what I want too." The room quieted, the air thickening with curiosity. "Are we doing this?" Claire raised an eyebrow, half smiling, her voice teasing but curious. "Why not? We should all be able to share our aspirations, right?" Angela leaned into the moment, not backing away from the probing gazes of her family. This was a new realm of openness, a space where vulnerability could flourish alongside ambition. From Claire's tentative assurance to Ethan's uncharacteristic silence, Angela observed the subtle shifts in body language around her. The slight lean, the raised eyebrows, the half-finished bites of food stilled in mid-air. This was the testing ground for her new convictions. It felt like standing on the edge of a precipice. Pierre, the youngest sibling, broke the silence. "What do you want, Angela? You've always seemed okay with just being." The question hung in the air, an unforeseen challenge thrust upon her vulnerable moment. But it became the catalyst she needed. "I want to lead, to feel empowered in my choices, not just drift along." The room shifted again, skepticism swirling in the air. She could sense Ethan processing her words, along with the realization that he might enjoy the prospect of her newfound ambition less than she had hoped. Would he interrupt her tide of confidence with an anchor of doubt? After the dinner, she found herself alone contemplating the profound vulnerability that had emerged in that conversation. Even now the inquiry echoed in her mind. Did she truly have the ability to take the lead, to balance both ambition at work and familial expectations? As her phone buzzed with another message, she opened it, expecting some mundane RSVP, but found something else entirely. A formal proposal for the leadership role hinted at earlier. The request wasn't just a moment of ambition. It demanded proof of her capability to step forward, to reshape her narrative once and for all. What arose in her heart was a wave of exhilaration mixed with doubt, an unfamiliar blend that both terrified and thrilled her. The option now loomed larger than before, craving her full focus. Could she break free from the expectations of being just the reliable sister, achieving brilliance with newfound confidence? Navigating this new phase would require grappling with every shadow of uncertainty and learning to confront the expectations she had long accepted. The time had come to face her internal barriers, known and unknown, as she considered her next step in both her personal and professional existence. Would she have the courage to seize the opportunity now in her hands? And just as that question loomed, a knock at the door startled her, signaling a visitor that could change the dynamics again. Who would it be this time? Angela's heartbeat quickened as she approached the door. The uncertainty of what lay beyond mirrored in her thoughts. Who could it be? In seeking growth, she had learned that the unexpected often held the most potential for transformation. As she opened the door, the figure of Claire stood before her, a mix of excitement and concern etching her features. "Angela, I came as soon as I saw your message," Claire blurted out, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. "You seemed so different at dinner. I wanted to check in." Angela's mind raced, thoughts spiraling. Could this unplanned visit fortify her resolve, or would it reinforce her apprehensions? "Yeah, I've been thinking a lot," she admitted tentatively, the weight of possibilities pressing upon her. "You want to lead?" Claire stated it plainly, her voice low, almost knowing. "What are you going to do about it?" Angela's instinct was to feign nonchalance. "Just explore the role. See if I'm actually cut out for it, you know." But Claire's eyes, sharp and unwavering, pierced through the facade. "That sounds safe. But you don't have to test the waters. Dive in head first. It's not like you to hold back." The challenge sparked something in Angela. Were her ambitions merely an examination of her capabilities, Or was the truth buried deeper? A fear of failure, a hesitation that gripped her tighter than any professional obstacle. "You're right. Maybe I've been straddling two worlds," she acknowledged, grappling with the realization that Claire was right to challenge her. Claire shifted, leaning against the doorframe, a flicker of determination in her demeanor. "Look, I know how hard it is. But if you want to lead, you need to embrace that you're worthy of it. Right now, it sounds like you want the title. But do you truly believe you deserve the role?" The question hung heavily. Did she? Was this role truly about ambition? Or was it about embodying the confidence she had too often left undiscovered? "I've never really thought about it that way," Angela mused, mulling over the invisible barriers she stood behind, the expectations of her family, the whispers of doubt in her head, but most importantly, Ethan's potential reaction. "Then think about it," Claire urged, her urgency contagious. "Imagine you took that leap. Picture yourself in that role. What do you see? Who are you?" As she sought to envision herself in this newfound light, Angela felt a surge of clarity. "I see someone who inspires others, who isn't afraid to voice her opinions, who leads with authenticity," she breathed, the words shaping her future more vividly than any task list ever could. "Then why not act like her now?" Claire prodded, her enthusiasm kindling Angela's conviction. "What if you practice that energy, not just at work, but in all aspects of your life? Start today, in little ways." The idea resonated deeply. What if she began dismantling the limiting beliefs that kept her in a box? A rush of excitement pulsed through her. "You're right. I could start with a team meeting, presenting a new initiative instead of waiting for direction. I could set my own agenda." "Exactly. Who's to stop you?" Claire beamed, her enthusiasm infectious. The invisible constraints began to fracture, and for the first time, Angela felt a sense of freedom in the possibility of embracing full authority over her own narrative. But as plans tumbled forth, a shadow fell across her thoughts. Ethan. How would he react to this empowered version of Angela, one ready to assert her ambitions? Would he support her, or would she face pushback from the person who had been her anchor? Plans whirled in her mind. The echoes of self-doubt still lurked, but they were beginning to transform into determination. Angela compressed that uncertainty into a stark resolve. She didn't need anyone's approval to pursue her growth, including Ethan's. Yet just as she began to map out her approach, a realization dawned. She needed to confront this potential conflict head-on. Her fears would only feed the doubts, crippling her before she even had a chance to succeed. With a renewed sense of purpose, she turned to Claire. "Thanks for pushing me. I think it's time to invite Ethan into this conversation. I can't let fear dictate my worth." As she spoke those words, she felt lighter, empowered by her intentions. The dialogue with Ethan loomed ahead, a daunting but necessary step in aligning her personal ambitions with her relationships. "Ready for that talk?" Claire grinned, her presence a comforting reminder that allies were crucial in this journey. "Let's hope I'll be ready," Angela replied with a trace of nervous excitement, knowing that the real conversation was yet to come, and with it, the possibility of liberation or disillusionment. As she prepared for what felt like an impending whirlwind of emotions, the challenge was clear. Would she shatter the perceptions that anchored her, or would she find herself slipping back into doubt? Standing at the precipice of change, Angela steeled herself, the moment of truth approaching, beckoning. Was she truly ready to embrace what lay ahead? Angela stood on the balcony of her apartment, the cool morning air filling her lungs as she gazed out over the San Francisco skyline. Today marked a turning point, the culmination of her evolving journey, a journey that had intertwined her life with Ethan, his twin daughters, and her estranged sister Claire. She felt poised to conquer uncharted territory, ready to embrace a leadership role that had begun to feel not just like an opportunity, but her destiny. After weeks of self-reflection and courage, she decided to call Ethan. The weight of her ambition pressed against her chest, yet she could sense a shift within herself, a solid confidence that had been absent before. The very act of pursuing her goals had begun to reshape how she viewed herself. She was no longer just a supporting character in others' stories, but the author of her own narrative. "Ethan," she began, her voice steady. "I've been thinking about our collaboration and the projects we've discussed. I'm ready to step up and lead initiatives moving forward. I want to bring my vision to the table." The response was a pause, filled with weighty silence. Ethan's voice broke through the quiet, but this time, it was bathed in a warmth that filled her with reassurance rather than dread. "I believe in you, Angela. I always have. It's exciting to hear you want to take charge," he replied, and a rush of adrenaline coursed through her. Curiously, as she continued to speak, Ethan's support solidified her resolve. They brainstormed ideas, outlined projects, and for the first time she felt unburdened by the fear of judgment. This was the moment she had waited for, transforming her ambitions into a tangible plan. Days passed swiftly, and Angela dove into her work with newfound vigor. The team rallied behind her in a way she had never experienced before. They became collaborators, emboldened by Angela's empowering spirit. Each meeting revealed fresh perspectives and innovative solutions, and together they achieved remarkable momentum. The clarity that arose from engaging her team fueled her identification as a leader, and the pangs of self-doubt faded. As Angela's confidence grew, she also delved deeper into her relationship with Claire. They met regularly, forging a sisterhood anew, parsing through the difficult layers of their shared past. One afternoon, as they pored over their memories, both triumphant and painful, Angela revealed her plans to embrace leadership not just at work but within their familial ties as well. "Claire, I want us to move forward together. You inspire me to be a better version of myself, and I want to support your path too," she stated, a smile breaking across her face. To her relief, Claire mirrored her enthusiasm, talking about new opportunities at her job that she was considering as well. The sisters had grown into allies, fueled by encouragement and purpose, both ready to face the world on their terms. Returning to the present, standing on the balcony, she felt an unfamiliar sense of stability and satisfaction. Emerging from her struggles had transformed not only her professional life, but her personal landscape too. She had proven to herself what it meant to pursue her aspirations unapologetically and embrace vulnerability as a strength, forming connections rather than inhibitions. The apex of this journey culminated the following week, during a pivotal presentation before executives, including Ethan. As she stood before them, her hands gripping the podium, a burst of memories flooded back, moments of self-doubt and the fears that had once paralyzed her. But now she stood anchored in confidence. "I am excited," she declared, her voice clear and steady. "This initiative showcases not just our company's potential, but also what we can accomplish when we really come together," she continued, each slide highlighting the transformative outcomes she had envisioned. And as the room buzzed with energy, she saw Claire seated in the back, beaming encouragement, alongside Ethan's supportive gaze. Angela felt alive, unfurling in the face of possibilities. The presentation concluded with resounding applause, a powerful acknowledgement of her growth. In that moment, she understood that her journey had led her to an undeniable truth. The obstacles she faced had forged a path toward recognition she had once thought unattainable. Angela Wright, once cloaked in uncertainty, had emerged as a formidable force, demonstrating resilience and strength. As the accolades poured in, she acknowledged her achievements but also the relationships that had catalyzed her transformation. With a deep sense of fulfillment, she smiled at Ethan and Claire, knowing they had all triumphed in their own ways. This wasn't merely a conclusion but a vibrant beginning. Reflection washed over her, celebrating not only her advancement but the intertwining of their paths, a sustained commitment to shaping their destinies together. In embracing vulnerability and leadership, they had all found their truth within the stories they crafted. Now was the time to solidify these connections and achievements as they moved forward. And as she stepped off the balcony, a sense of urgency surged within her. This moment of realization demanded recognition. You need to subscribe now to witness these transformative journeys. This is the moment to show your support. Make sure to leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep us thriving. Don't wait even one more second to share this empowering video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusive transformation. Comment below your thoughts and theories about this incredible journey, and let's keep the conversation alive.